This is Big Podcast.
It's Build a Big Podcast, the marketing podcast for podcasters. I'm David Hooper, and if you need help getting more people to your podcast, making podcasts that people care about, this is where you want to be. BigPodcast.com is the website, and if you go there right now, I've got 25 episode templates I will give you, as well as some other things to make your podcasting life easier. Everything you see there is about how to grow your audience and have a podcast that people care about. So go there now, get those 25 episode templates, bigpodcast.com. Every week, I send out a newsletter. It is called Big Podcast Insider. I'm going to go over some of the things in the most recent issue. If you want that and you go to bigpodcast.com, you will see a place where you can get this via email. This is some bonus material because I can't put all of it in the newsletter. I've got more thoughts on it. It's probably easier for you to listen to me than it is to read it. But if you want the links, you want everything else that I'm talking about, go to the site, bigpodcast.com. That has everything. Let's talk about how the money works in podcasting. Imagine that you have a podcast and it makes $25,000 per month, almost $1,000 per day. For a lot of podcasters, that is a dream come true. I'm going to tell you a story in this episode and also give you the numbers breakdown of how one podcaster is bringing in that kind of cash. But I want you to consider something when you listen to it. There are a lot of ways that you can make $25,000 a month podcasting. I know plenty of people, not even popular podcasters, but people who use their podcast to reach the right people, to sell training, to sell coaching. They are making that kind of money. There are definitely authors that make that kind of money. They leverage their podcast and leverage that podcast audience to do something very similar with book sales. Maybe not a $5,000 or $10,000 coaching client. Maybe it's 100 book sales or 1,000 book sales. It can definitely be done, and the podcast is a great tool to do that. Not only your podcast, but you can use podcasting to reach the audiences of other people. Anyway, I'm going to talk about that. Here's the point. You have a lot of options when it comes to podcasting success. There is no one way to do this. So when I talk about the things on this episode, when you go to bigpodcast.com and you get my newsletter, you get the mailing list with those templates, just remember that. There are a lot of ways to make money in podcasting. If you need personal help with that, I can help you there too. That is my job, to find what you do and make it work for you via podcasting. The thing that I mentioned, those 25 episode templates, those are free. That leads me into the first element of this issue. Should you give away everything? Here's the headline: give away 99% for free? Are you crazy? A lot of people think they should monetize the 1%. Is that accurate though? That's the question. I've been thinking about this for the last couple of weeks, thinking about how Apple has made it possible to charge for podcasts. Jack Rhysider, this is the guy that I mentioned who's doing $25,000 a month with his podcast. I'm going to break his numbers down now. He's got a podcast called Darknet Diaries. He set up a paid subscription for his podcast on Apple's new system. He's had 670 subscribers within the first 45 days. After Apple's cut, that is $2,338 per month. Not bad. But let's talk about the free version of Darknet Diaries and how much he's making off of that, just giving it away. He gets around 300,000 downloads per episode. So even if you were to do a very low CPM rate, which is cost per thousand, that means somebody gives you $5, $10 every 1,000 downloads you've got. So a CPM of $10, that's $10 for every 1,000 downloads you get. A lot of people do $25, $50 CPM, but at $10, which again, I'm considering very low, he's going to make more money this way, giving away the episodes, 300,000 downloads per episode, than he would selling episodes. He's also reaching a ton more people, 670 people versus 300,000. By the way, to do the money on that, 300,000, $10 per 1,000, that's $3,000. Here's where the money really takes off, though. If Jack is doing non-advertising revenue, such as in-person appearances, endorsements, selling his own products, I talked about the coaching, consulting. That's what I do. It's a good business. And with that, it's not $10 for every 1,000 people. It could be $10,000. It could be $20,000. I know people that have had clients that have paid them six figures over the years. That is certainly possible with a coaching, consulting, service-based business. And a podcast, that's what can bring you in the clients. A book, that can bring you in those clients as well. And people don't mind paying for a book, or you can give the book away for free. By the way, I've got an audiobook version of my book. I'm giving it away for free with an Audible trial. So if you're interested in that, you want to help me make those numbers work, bigpodcast.com/book. That's got more information. Let's say that Jack does both. He is doing both. He's got a Patreon account. These are people who donate money to him every month. It's not really a donation, I guess. They're paying him a service fee, a subscription, whatever you want to call it. He's getting subscribers there. On that service, he's got 5,720 people, and he is bringing in $19,771 per month. That's where the $25,000 is coming from. It's coming from the subscription sales on Apple. It is coming from CPM advertising sales, which is just a guess. He may be making a lot more than $10 per CPM. And also this $19,771 a month from Patreon. How much content should you give away? That was the question. Here's what I know. If you do not have a plan for monetizing what you do, it is very easy to get caught up in a cycle of give without getting anything back that is going to sustain you. I'll put it like this. It is easy to have friends and everybody will love you when you are buying the drinks at the bar. Give. There are a lot of people who love to be on the receiving end of that. Are they that interested in you? I don't know. That's how you find out. You charge. And also, you need something back. It is not sustainable for you to keep buying everybody drinks. You need something back. It is not ridiculous for you to think that you should get something in return for your work. Maybe what you want in return is just a lot of people there who love you. There's certainly those type of people. There's those guys on the message boards and on forums and on Clubhouse or maybe on podcasts even. They love being that guy, the guy who's the most knowledgeable person in the room, and they love helping people. If that's you, great. I know a guy who sold his company for tens of millions of dollars. That's all he does. All he does is answer emails, and he loves it. But that guy sold his company for tens of millions of dollars. One, he did that by taking money. That's what made the company valued at tens of millions of dollars. Also, now that he's got that tens of millions of dollars, he's not worried about survival. For you, me, and most everybody else, we got to survive. And we need something in return for the work that we do. But what's the balance? That's the question. What is your balance? Hit me up, bigpodcast.com. I would love to know. Is it 99% free, 1% sales? Is it 80-20? I don't know. You know how the math works. 100, divide it into whatever pie you divide it in, and let me know. How do you make the numbers work? What do you give away? Maybe you don't give away a thing. And what do you charge for? Next segment, steal these email ideas to grow your podcast. If you are not using email to grow your podcast, you are missing out on a lot of listeners and subscribers. I've got a tool linked for you. $49, one-time fee that will allow you to email up to 6,000 people as often as you want to for that one-time fee. It's not a monthly charge. It is a super easy way for you to break into email. If you're not into email, get this set up. Newsletter.bigpodcast.com has all these links. Go there. Subscribe to this newsletter. Get the links to everything that I'm talking about. I've got this article as well. You're going to want to click on it. It shows you how to connect with listeners via email. But in addition to email, it's also a way for you to connect to listeners via your podcast. So you can do it two ways. You can do the same thing that I'm doing right now and the same thing that I'm doing with the newsletter that I'm sending you to. Think about that. If you're on my email list, you're seeing me every week in your inbox on Friday. And if you're subscribing to this podcast, you're hearing from me this way. That is a great way for you to connect with your listeners. You should be doing both if you've got a podcast, and I hope you do, because you're listening to a podcast for podcasters. If you have not started your podcast yet, you need to. By the same token, if you haven't started an email list, you need to do that as well. So there's an article for you. It has email ideas to help you grow your podcast. They also work for your podcast. I've even got this set up where you can, for only $49, mail people as often as you want to, collect those emails, and start having a relationship with your listeners. But how do you do it all? That's the next part of this newsletter. If you've got no time to podcast, this is the way to do it. First of all, let me say this. You have got the time. You're just not organizing it right. A lot of podcasters, I put that in quotes, they spend their time getting bad advice on Facebook than actually doing the work of podcasting. The work of podcasting, you know what it looks like for me right now? I'm in a closet. It's tricked out, looks like a studio. It's nice. But I'm in a walk-in closet. I'm by myself and I'm talking into a microphone. I don't know if you were going to listen to this or not, but because you're hearing it, you are. See how that works? I trusted that you were going to get this message, and you are. That is difficult. It is a lot more fun to go onto Facebook and say something like, hey, I bought a Blue Yeti. Buy the latest gear. And if you say that, by the way, you bought a Blue Yeti, immediately 20 people are going to jump on that thread and say, Blue Yeti sucks. Blue Yeti sucks. That's the worst, Mike. What are you doing? And it's kind of true. No, in all fairness, I've got a Blue Yeti. I'm not using it now. I don't use it on a regular basis, but it's not a bad mic. The mic that you want is the mic that you've got. Just do it. Get in there and do the work of podcasting. But how do you do it? You've got to organize your time. And I've got a tool for you to do just that. I've got a free trial for you. It's linked. It's in the newsletter, newsletter.bigpodcast.com. Check it out. You're going to be able to organize yourself and get more done when it comes to your podcasting and everything else than you thought possible. It's a great feeling to be this organized. This tool, it's going to make it easier for you. Newsletter.bigpodcast.com. I've got something related to this in this issue as well. Stop procrastinating now. 5 small steps that you can take. That's linked, so I'm not going to go into that. But I will tell you one of the things that I do in conjunction with my list tool that I just mentioned. What I do is I work from that list and I work with a timer. I have a timer right now. It tells me to focus on the work until the timer is done. I know there's a set time. I know I'm not going to get carried away, but I also know that it is time to focus and I don't have distractions. So if you are not getting something done, I want you to think about that. Working from a list and working with a timer. So you got 10 things you need to do. Put them on a list. Hit that timer. I do anywhere between 25 minutes and 55 minutes, depending on how I'm working. And that's usually with a 5-minute break. So those are the segments. 25 on, 5 off, 55 on, 5 off. And I do those usually in rounds of 3. So 3 hours, 55 on, 5 off, 55 on, 5 off, 55 on, and then you're done. If that's more intense work, that's where those 25-minute sessions come in. I do 25 on, 5 off, another 25, and then take that last 5 off. It's not exactly an hour, but 55 minutes. I've got more thoughts on this strategy in the newsletter. Also a link to those 5 small steps that you can take to stop procrastination now. One more thing in this newsletter. This is going to be helpful to you if you use WordPress. A lot of podcasts do. And it's not just podcasters either. Let me give you some stats. 62% of the top 100, this is from the Inc. 5000, the top 100 fastest growing companies in the US use WordPress. 62%. Over 500 new sites are created daily using the free version of WordPress. And 70 million new blog posts are published via WordPress every month. A lot of people are using WordPress. You may be using WordPress as well. It's a favorite among podcasters because you've got all these great plugins that you can use to help promote your podcast, make it easy for people to listen to. And that mailing list that I'm talking about, make it easy for people to sign up for that mailing list that you've got. This is a deal. It's $99 for life for WordPress hosting. $99 for life. It is not the best hosting. It is not the fastest hosting, but it's as good as HostGator. It's as good as Bluehost. It's as good as a lot of the shared hosting that you see out there that people are paying $10, $20, $30 a month for. It's $99 for life. After a year, the thing is paid for itself. Maybe even less. It's linked right now, newsletter.bigpodcast.com. That is it for this episode. If you want more from me, you know where to get me. bigpodcast.com/subscribe. Big Podcast is the site. bigpodcast.com/subscribe is where to find this podcast. While you were there, make sure you sign up for those 25 episode templates. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter. Like I mentioned, I've got a lot of stuff. All of it is about how you can have a more successful podcast, get more people to your podcast, have more people care about what you do, make more money with your podcast. Bigpodcast.com has it all. Thanks so much for listening. If you've got a friend who's podcasting, you've got a business partner, you've got a co-host, somebody who would benefit from this information, let them know about me. Bigpodcast.com is where I am. I will see you there, bigpodcast.com, and I will see you here on the next episode.